we are going to talk about my journey in pottery. This is kind of going to be about me, why I quit my full-time job in advertising to do pottery full-time. We're going to go way back to August 2016. So I needed a couple of extra credits for my last semester of college, and I decided to take an intro to ceramics class. So I was like, why not? You know, I've never tried pottery before. It could be really fun. I had the most incredible instructor. She was just so inspiring and made ceramics seem so approachable. About halfway through the semester, we started on the wheel. The first time I sat at the wheel, I was like, oh my gosh. Now, we have to back up a little bit. I had never considered myself an artistic person. I think in my mind, art was painting, drawing. In terms of creating something with my hands, I was like, that's probably just never gonna be my thing. Insert ceramics. I sat at the wheel and I was like, this is incredible. I just felt this like sense of peace and calm and control, which to someone who is a triple Virgo like me was very nice to feel. As soon as we started on the wheel, I was there every single day. I think it closed at 10 p.m. and I would like close out the place every night. I went on weekends, I went after class, finished that class in December of 2016, and I graduated. So I moved home to Los Angeles. I soon got a job in advertising, was just kind of, you know, like learning how to do life as an adult. So I got another job a couple months later, and this job was paying me more. My first thought when I got this job was, oh my gosh, I can afford to start taking pottery classes again. I started taking classes at Good Dirt LA. I cannot recommend this studio enough. I think that they have the perfect balance of instruction and also independence. You know, you would just walk in and say like, I kind of want to learn how to make a plate today. And they would show you, and then you could practice, and they could kind of hop in and out whenever you needed help. It was the best kind of instruction for me. I was at Good Dirt LA for about 10 months. And then a very dear friend of mine told me that they had a pottery wheel in their garage that they weren't using and asked if I wanted to use it. So I said yes, of course. All of a sudden I had this pottery wheel on the patio of my apartment. When I first got that pottery wheel in my apartment, I sat down because I was like, I have to throw something right now. I didn't even have a splash pan. It holds the water in so it doesn't splash all over you, but I had to throw something. It was just absolutely a game changer to me that I could make things now whenever I wanted. And then in August of 2018, I moved from that apartment to a house, and this house had a garage. I'm gonna be able to have a pottery studio now. From there, August 2018, ramped up the pottery. I would bring my finished pieces to a local studio to fire, but it took a really long time to fire. In March 2019, I decided that with my big girl adult money, I was going to buy a pottery kiln. I look back and I'm like, the confidence, the delusion, like I can't believe that I was just like, I'm gonna buy a pottery kiln. Okay, cool. It was being delivered during my lunch hour. I left work, drove home to a truck with a flatbed. It finally got put in the garage, and I unwrapped it, and I was jumping up and down. Mind you, I had never fired a kiln in my life. I knew nothing about pottery kilns. So I was going into this with a YouTube video and a dream. Through a lot of trial and error, I did end up figuring it out. So as of March 2019, I had a fully set up studio. Up until this point, I had been experimenting with everything. I'd make bowls one day, I'd make mugs one day, I'd make flower vases one day, but I didn't really have a specific style. Right when I got that kiln, I really zeroed in on something that I was interested in. It was boob bases. Boob bases were a trend that were just sweeping the ceramic world. I thought it was so edgy and cool, beautiful. I was like, I'm doing it. I'm gonna make a boob base. This was my first boob base. I still have it. I'm gonna keep this forever. I must have made over 200 boob bases over the course of the next 2 years, but I had a lot of fun making them, and people were really interested in them. So right around that time is when I first made an Etsy account. It was amazing for someone who was a beginner like me. So as the year 2020 kicked off, I decided to take a step away from boob bases. I feel like I had made so many at that point. I was kind of getting tired of them. I was searching for my style. I was trying on a million different things. And then something happened in March 2020. The pandemic hit. So I went from someone who was at work for usually 10 to 12 hours a day. I was doing pottery sometimes at night, but mostly on weekends. The second the pandemic started, I was like, wow, I have a pottery studio in my garage. I'm gonna take advantage of this. I I remember in the first 2 weeks of the pandemic, I made an entire dish set. In April 2020, I bought another pottery wheel. My first pottery wheel, it was wonderful. It was free to me. It's a pretty old wheel. I couldn't throw big things on it, and I was starting to want to throw bigger things. Besides buying the kiln, it was one of the most exciting days of my life. As you can see by this picture, it was my new child. Heading into 2021, I remember one night I was looking on Pinterest. This pin popped up. It was showing how to make flowers out of fondant for cakes. And I was looking at it and I was like, I think I could do that with clay. I remember one night, it was really late. I was like, I'm just gonna try to make a flower. And I made my first flower. I was just looking at it and I was like, this is so beautiful, and there's something here. That is when the thing that I am still currently obsessed with, flowers, really started. I have one of my earlier pieces right here. It's not like the best thing ever. It was so exciting to me. I felt like I had finally found a theme within art that I could own. It lit my soul on fire, so I really wanted to see what I could do with this. So for the next year, I put flowers on everything. April 2022, I decided to leave Etsy and make my own website. ericmoorepottery.com was born in April 2022. You know, I started having my first sales on my website of things covered with flowers. And then in May 2022, Studio McGee posted one of my vases, and it truly changed my life. I will never be able to thank Shay McGee enough. You know, posting one story, holding one flower vase in her hand, completely changed the entire course of my life. My website completely sold out. I had all this new interest in my pottery. I felt so validated. This thing that I thought was beautiful, now other people were finding it and thinking it was beautiful. And I was writing in my journal one day, this was in July. So I wrote a little contract to myself. I said, I will become a full-time potter by August 2023. I remember writing that and being like, that's crazy. At that point, I had been working in advertising for 6 years, but I just had this like yearning in my soul to be an artist. So right then, July 2022, I was like, I need to try as hard as I can at pottery so that I can save up enough money to really give this a go as a full-time artist. The year of 2023 was such a year of pottery for me. So I saved every single penny I made. It was saved in this account that was just for the dream. It was for when I became a full-time potter. I turned 30 in August 2023, and I remember sitting there and saying, I am not ready yet. I cannot quit my job right now. In my mind, I was like, I need one more holiday season to get me ready to be able to try this thing out full time. In January 2024, I decided to put in my 2 weeks notice and quit my job. So I had been working in advertising for almost 7 years at this point. I really enjoyed it. I had really felt like I was good at my job, but I just had never stopped feeling this calling to do pottery full time. You know, when I look back on my time working in advertising, my job, it is what enabled me to take pottery classes, to buy a kiln, to buy another pottery wheel. I'm incredibly grateful for my job. I will always be grateful for that experience. And here we are, about 6 months in now. It has been a roller coaster, that is for sure. I have such huge goals for this little company that I have. There's a lot of things that I want to make. There's a lot of different places that I want to go into. Recently started wholesale, which has been a huge dream for me. More about that coming soon. I can honestly say that I have never felt more fulfilled. I think as a woman who's about to turn 31, I feel more comfortable in my skin than I ever have. And a huge part of that is just being able to say confidently that I am an artist and that I offer value to the world of art. And I'm telling you, I am like a Virgo who is practical and logical. If you had told me when I was in a ceramics class in college that I would eventually become a full-time ceramicist, I would have laughed in your face. I'm way too practical for that. I need to have security. And here I am. I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go, and it's been really fun. And I cannot wait to see where this goes. So thank you so much for being here, watching me on YouTube. I'm so happy that I get to make things that I love and that other people find value and beauty in that and want to bring it into their own homes. Lots more to come around here, so stay tuned. August is gonna be exciting. The rest of the year is gonna be exciting. And 2025 is gonna be really exciting too. So thank you so much for your support. I'll see you next week.